Hey, what's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. It is February 2nd of 2021. It's kind of weird. It feels like it's flying by this year. I don't know
The
about you guys.
groundhog did see that shadow.
Did he?
He did.
How many more weeks of COVID does that mean?
I don't know, but I don't mind if winter lasts a little longer because up here where I'm at in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, January was a record low for snowfall ever up here. So, yeah, so winter's been pretty tame. I've only had to pay for people to plow once. That's not right.
Nice. I saw the Northeast. Welcome to the Weather Channel. We're going to talk about snow now. I saw the Northeast got hit with like a foot of snow a couple of days ago. We got snow here in Nashville, and I was just confused walking around. It's what you guys up north would call cute. That's cool. It's like a dusting, I guess. But I was walking my dog at work, and I was like, "What is this?" And then it stayed for 4 or 5 hours, which is insane for down in the South. But I digress. I hope everyone is safe. I'm glad to be back. Sorry if the show was weird last week. Not that I wasn't here, but
it's always weird. We get real weird.
Oh, Mike likes your football, man. See?
Hey, this is my Minnesota Vikings football. Vikings on one side and the awesome logo on the other. I've always meant to get it autographed, but I never have, and now I just like playing with it by my computer desk. So
appreciate y'all jumping in the chat there. Mike, Viking Jerome, and Tyler. What's up, man? We're doing good. Glad we got the whole crew here. We're going to talk about some hires. This is episode 426. Ficken Awesome. We're going to talk about Ryan Ficken being named special teams coordinator.
I love that title.
Yeah, there's no pun. It's just really funny. And I am so glad that you said that. I was like, you know what? I don't have to pick one, which is always fun for me.
Show title.
And we'll get to talk about some other coaches that got added, which is really cool. I'm really excited to talk about the new wide receiver coach that's coming in. We're going to kill some Deshaun Watson rumors because we just don't believe it. We'll talk about that. That's been crazy. It was actually covered on a lot of outlets. Kirk Cousins got brought up on Pat McAfee because this spun around so fast. And
Christian Ponder got brought up on Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Tyler, we're going to get there in a second. I want to talk about this because it does relate to the NFC North. If you didn't hear over the weekend and you've been living under a rock, a blockbuster trade, the LA Rams, I give them a lot of respect and applause because they have balls for the stuff that they've been doing the last 3 years. Matthew Stafford, formerly of the Detroit Lions, yes, formerly, is now going to the LA Rams. Jared Goff is coming to Detroit, which really sucks for him because he had it made down there, but apparently – Sean McVay was growing tired of having to hold them back. I'm sure you guys have heard the same things. Mm-hmm. The Rams sent up 2 first-rounders and a third, and they basically dumped that contract to Detroit. But I'm happy for Matt Stafford.
The Rams have balls, but you know what they don't have? First-round picks.
They also don't have their starting quarterback texting about wanting to bone their coach's wife.
Yeah, that's really true, too.
Really?
Yeah, Jared Goff said he would lay pipe to Sean McVay's girlfriend. Obviously quoting him there. I didn't say that. But, that came out a couple years ago, which is – I'm sure that didn't help their relationship. What's up, Kathy?
Goff is going to be in for a world of trouble when he gets to Detroit. He had so much that he could work with the Rams, and now he's coming to a place where he's going to have to play and ball out to really achieve. So it's going to be really tough for him to succeed in Honolulu Blue. On the other hand, Matt Stafford's going somewhere where he's got all the support in the world. He's got the number 1 defense as far as yards allowed. He's got an offensive line that works. He's got some weapons, his wide receivers. He's got some great coaching staff there to support him. So this is Stafford's opportunity to really make a run, and considering how good this team is and how their only real shortcoming was being able to pick up yards, Matt Stafford can get you yards and touchdowns. So
yep. Yeah.
I am very scared of the Rams now, and the Lions have some work to do. But they also have that new coaching staff and GM in place to rebuild. So maybe it'll be a few years before the Lions are a threat. and they could mess it up, but it's going to be a little rebuild there. So for a little while, I don't think the Lions are going to be too scary of a team.
It's going to be weird not seeing Matthew Stafford in Detroit.
Really weird.
A fixture for that organization for 10, 12 years, a long time now. I am excited to see what he does on an actual team, because I've always felt that Stafford he's a legit QB. He's a good QB. Yeah. He's just never... Detroit is cursed. It don't matter if they have Barry Sanders or Calvin Johnson, or they just can't get it together down there. So we'll see what Stafford can do. He reminds me a little bit of Brett Favre. He's got that grittiness in him. You know, I'm a fan of his because when he that game where he separates his shoulder and then he goes back out and throws a touchdown pass.
Oh yeah.
How can you not love that?
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
Well, here you go, Jerome. I want to comment too. We can talk about this for a little while because it is pretty relevant. There's not a lot of Viking news, and we want to save that for the main topic. But it's not that he's worth 2 firsts and a third. Here's what I've heard from other podcasts to break it down that helped me learn about it. It's basically 1 first. The other first, whatever, they're going to have it later on, right? Next year could be a terrible draft position. And you know what? I think it's going to be a bad position of the first round because I think the Rams are going to win the NFC West now with this acquisition. But part of that was dumping off Jared Goff's contract. We're like, hey, look, we can't give you like a bunch of first rounders, but we'll give you 2 and some change. So you'll take on this massive contract because Jared Goff is absolutely not worth the contract that he's getting paid. Now I see him as more of a bridge quarterback for them. And I'll tell you this right now. They may turn these firsts, Detroit, into another quarterback this year and next year. They can absolutely do that.
And don't forget that the Lions will be eating a portion of Matt Stafford's contract too before he comes over to the Rams. So this trade not only helps the Rams in terms of their quarterback play right now, but it free up a chunk of their salary cap that they're in salary cap hell there for a little bit too, and they're going to need some help getting out of that. And this move frees up some of that money while improving their situation at quarterback. And honestly, I love this move for them. And Detroit, since they're going to enter a rebuild, why not accumulate picks, try to get things the way they want them, find their quarterback of the future, build some weapons in the meantime. Like I said, this is going to set the Lions into the rebuild stage because let's face it, Goff is not the quarterback that you want on your team if you think you're a Super Bowl contender.
No, definitely not. I like the picks that Detroit got in return. And if you're in a rebuilding mode, you could do worse than Jared Goff.
Yeah, 100%.
He can hold on for it for a year or two while you draft players around them. I firmly believe that we're going to see Detroit grab weapons early on, whether it's a first round wide receiver, a second round, I don't know, maybe pass rusher or something like that. But I fully expect Detroit to get the surrounding pieces before they decide to make a run at going after a quarterback for the future. So I don't see them doing that this year. I see them holding over with Jared Goff until that contract becomes a bit more manageable. And seeing what they got too. I mean, maybe the new location will be good for him. Yeah. You don't want to just throw him away and assume that he's going to be trash.
I like this for both teams. I think this makes the Rams better. And I explained this too. Shout out to my buddy James from the band 18 Visions and Burn Halo. You should check them out if you haven't never heard of them, if you like rock music. But huge Chicago Bears fan. We always talk football. We're always texting about football. And I said, I keep the quarterbacks in unfair classes. There's Mahomes, Rodgers, and Wilson. There's a huge chunk of everyone else. And then there's like the bottom 5 where it's like, not really sure why they have a job. And Matt Stafford and Jared Goff are in that middle tier. But to say that Matt Stafford is not an upgrade over Jared Goff, you don't really understand what you're watching. He's a major upgrade. He's super tough. He's never been in any trouble, and neither is Goff. But just watching him throw the football, move around, and his heart is my favorite part. Like you said, both of you guys said, this is a good move for Detroit because they got a new coach. And what this says right now from the management is you're going to be here and we're going to give you 3 years at minimum because –
and over those 3 years, they're going to get knocked down, but they're going to get up and bite some knees.
They're going to have extra. He's going to have extra time to cement what he wants. Dan Campbell is the name of the new coach in Detroit, and this is going to assure him, like, hey, we're going to let you try to figure it out. We're going to work with you. If Goff doesn't work, man, you can pick another quarterback maybe next year or the year after. But I like what you said, Adam. If you're going from a play it safe, do the smart thing kind of mind frame, I think that's what Detroit should do. I think they should acquire weapons.
Well, the problem here is that Vikings fans feel like they're in the same spot as Lions fans are, to where their team is just spinning their wheels. They're never going to win with what they got. Minnesota is a lot closer to being a real contender than Detroit ever was. So blowing up things in Minnesota to rebuild right now, not the best idea.
Right.
No, I'd be pissed if they did that.
Well, I think the only way that's going to happen is if Mike Zimmer gets fired. I don't think they're going to blow it up with him there. I think they'd want to restart from scratch there too. And not the best season of his career in Minnesota, but I don't think they're moving on from him anytime soon. And that's a good transition because I don't think they're moving on from Kirk Cousins anytime soon.
Where did people get that Jimmy Garoppolo is on the same level as Kirk Cousins? Where are people getting this?
I don't think that honestly, I don't think that's what it is. I think this is that crazy concoction in Madden where you do some shit where it's a 3-team trade. What this is the way you get Deshaun Watson. And I understand, guys. Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback. He's athletic. He's young. He's
proven nothing more than Kirk Cousins has.
I agree. I think that you don't get someone in that age and prime in the start of the prime of their career because you see the ceiling. I think the ceiling's higher than Kirk, but I think the floor is much lower. The Vikings love Kirk Cousins. They are not moving on from him unless they get a stupid offer for him.
It would take something ridiculous.
Yep.
But teams are willing to give up ridiculous for quarterbacks if they feel they're that close. And San Francisco, you know what? They got a lot of talent. They're looking pretty good. And the fact that they are looking at Kirk Cousins and saying that guy can get us over the hump, doesn't that say anything to Vikings fans?
A little bit. It should.
It doesn't, though.
It should say that you're undervaluing Kirk Cousins in Minnesota.
Well, I think if people could take away the easy bait where it's like, oh, those are garbage time stats, or people only like to. We talked about this in the chat. People only like to use quarterback wins when it's convenient. When it's not convenient to their argument, they don't like that. I don't like that. It got overlooked this year because the defense was so noticeably bad that you didn't appreciate how good the offense was. The offense was top 5 this year. Kirk Cousins can sling the ball around, and he's got legit weapons.
Here's what I think.
It's not like he's got 1 year left before these weapons fall off. Dalvin Cook's in his prime. Justin Jefferson hasn't hit his ceiling yet. Adam Thielen is still very much a wide receiver 1 on the cusp. And then you got some good tight ends there. If they can fix the line, that offense is going to be good. You got to fix the defense. Kirk is not going to lose you some games. Now,
even if the Vikings don't make a significant improvement on the offensive line, this offense is going to come back and look very similar anyway.
Right.
So having Minnesota come in and be in this situation already means that, okay, we're going to come back with a very capable offense, but we need to fill some holes in many places. And this is going to open up the draft to where it's going to be best player available when they're on the clock. Might even trade down if there's a couple players on the board that they really love at that point. And I just don't see a point where the Vikings can look at draft picks and say, okay, we can win this with Jimmy G, or we feel confident enough in our staff to draft and develop a quarterback of the future right now. Because I know I'm not there with this team. If you were to ask me if I think the Vikings can get a quarterback in one of the upcoming drafts and make him an absolute superstar, I am going to be firmly in the I doubt it camp. But I love getting proven wrong.
I mean, hey, that's a fair assessment because we've really yet to see that from Rick Spielman when he's went out to draft quarterbacks, that this is the next superstar QB that's going to take over the league. We haven't seen that. I think that if we're playing fantasy draft, we're going to send Kirk Cousins and Kyle Rudolph, and you're going to send us Jimmy G and George Kittle. And some draft picks.
Well, the other move there, too, was not to San Fran, but maybe to New England, Houston, and Minnesota, because – or maybe there's a four-way deal. That'd be crazy, too.
Let's talk for a second about New England.
We're just making shit up at this point.
Seriously.
Because the reports were that Matthew Stafford would be willing to be traded anywhere except New England.
Why?
And I thought that was really interesting. Yeah. I don't know if it's because of his ties with their former head coach there in Detroit. I don't know if that was the case. I don't know if it's a clash of styles with Bill Belichick. I don't know what it is, because that Patriot culture seems to be so good.
Well, the other part of that, too, this came out within the last 2 days. Carolina was in contention, too, and he said, I absolutely do not want to play for Carolina. So he kind of had his pick, which was really nice.
Stafford,
but to Adam's point, talking about New England, he didn't want to go there because of the sour taste that Matt Patricia left in his mouth. So
is that official, the reason?
That's my guess. I'm going to put my stamp on that, my unblue check marked opinion down there from my sources. I mean, why wouldn't you want to play there?
It would make sense, right?
Because I don't care what kind of year Tom Brady and the Buccaneers are having. If you want to play for one coach in the NFL that's not named Andy Reid right now, it's got to be Bill Belichick. So that would be the only guess. I mean, I know they don't have weapons, but
of course.
Tomlin is probably one that a lot of players would love to play for.
True.
A lot of players have said that you win in New England, but it's not exactly fun to play in New England. Sure. And you put up with it because you're winning. So potentially they didn't do too hot without Tom Brady. Why would you want to go to New England to put up with Belichick's bullshit if you're not going to win?
Yeah, I think this was an anomaly though, because they have enough. They have enough cap space to do a little shuffling, and the Cam Newton project. It was very far fetched to begin with because he's not what he used to be. Matt Stafford is an immediate upgrade for him, but you got to think that with Stafford being there, he could do Tom Brady-esque things. I can turn a guy who's not a household wide receiver into maybe a name that you hear about because Bill Belichick can figure it out for you. But I get it. If you don't like the guy that came from that tree, why would you want to go play there?
Viking Jerome brings up a question off a very recent piece of news there. Minnesota is reported to have a little bit of interest in bringing Teddy Bridgewater back, according to Mike Florio.
He's an upgrade at backup. He's an instant upgrade at backup.
And of course, Vikings fans took this as, well, yeah, if we move on from Kirk, we can just bring back Teddy. And I don't think that's a situation. I think wherever Teddy goes now, he's going to get a chance to be a backup. And I'd love to see a capable backup come to Minnesota, one that's maybe thrown a touchdown in his career. That'd be nice.
We're going to keep saying that until they change it. Oh man, we are not fans of Sean Mannion here. Don't hate the guy because I don't know him, but if he was not on the Vikings, I would be a very, very happy Viking fan.
Yeah.
Or if they could just come out, they'll never do this, but like Adam was saying, and a lot of guys have learned over the years from me learning stuff about football, the backup is there to help the quarterback. I want to know what is so valuable in Sean Mannion's mind to have him around, because when we watched him play in preseason last year, it was awful.
He holds that clipboard.
Week 17, not last year, but the year before. Brutal.
Oof. Yeah, I don't like that.
He holds that clipboard, guys. He's a good holder of the clipboard.
And of course, there's always that part of you that wants to see that young player develop behind your quarterback so that you got someone ready to go. Even if you got to trade up to get him when Aaron Rodgers wants receivers, you draft your quarterback.
Yeah.
You guys can check that out on the Viking Age, where our own Adam Carlson writes. There's a lot of good articles up there by his buddy Adam Patrick, and that's one of them at the top of the page. You'll see Teddy in a Carolina uniform in Minnesota, which is probably from this past year at that game. That's pretty cool.
It was sad that Teddy didn't do very well in that game, but then again, I'd rather teams not do well against Minnesota, so that's okay.
I was hoping that Teddy was going to ball out with his opportunity in Carolina.
Or at least look capable.
Yeah. Didn't really... He's
Didn't
one of
spark
those...
any fear there.
He's one of those big what-if stories. What if he never got hurt? I think he was looking good for Minnesota, and then that injury... it is what it is. He can make a nice long career being a backup quarterback, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's really nothing wrong with that. And in the right situation, man, starter goes down, Teddy can come in, and Teddy can finish a game. He can win you a game.
Well, he did that in New Orleans, and I was happy for him. I was sad for a little bit that he went to the Jets. I was happy New Orleans picked him up.
Yeah.
Where careers go to die. Or if you've ever watched Ballers, they reference the Cleveland Browns as a factory of sadness. Not anymore. That's the Jets and the Lions now, but I digress. I wanted to read something off the Viking Age because I thought this was cool to talk about as well. This isn't the main topic, but adding a former Pro Bowl wide receiver to their coaching staff. I love this hire. I'm hoping this is the right one. God, if I clicked on the wrong article, I'm going to be so angry with myself. McCardell, is that the name that I'm thinking of?
Keenan McCardell.
There you go. From Jacksonville. Heading over to Minnesota now, and he's going to be the wide receiver coach, which is really awesome.
He had connections with Justin Jefferson.
That I'm not sure of.
Am I just making that up entirely? I could be making that up.
Hey, this is the show to do it, you know?
Hey, sure. I'm also unverified on Twitter, so I can I can say what I want and pass it off as news.
Same role with the Vikings, Keenan McCardell. He was with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Vikings are already starting to make moves. I like this hire because everything that I read online, everybody had nothing but good things to say about the guy. Plus, when you look at Jacksonville, they've had questions pretty much elsewhere. Wide receiver, they've been pretty solid and underrated because it's the Jags. So I like that. I like this hire.
Also, coming in and coaching Jefferson and Thielen, that's a pretty easy gig. You have two very coachable, very highly motivated players that are going to make you look good no matter what.
Now, there are some questions behind those two. And, of course, we had a nice conversation last week about the Minnesota Vikings if they were to draft one of the top wide receivers out of this class, if one fell in their lap. And developing those young players could be huge for this team's offense. But as it stands right now, it seems like there's the top two and then a lot of drop-off after that. I mean, Chad Beebe, the kid's done some things, but as far as having confidence in him and being a wide receiver 3, not so much.
No, my confidence kind of fell with Odubisi Johnson. I thought that he could be that wide receiver 3 for the Vikings. Didn't really pan out. I do think they're going to be looking at retooling that depth chart below our top two stud receivers this offseason.
This is we said this ever since he left. This is where I miss a
Jarius Wright.
I miss him so much. Mm-hmm. Or the first year with Kirk with Aldrick Robinson. I don't know why the hell that guy didn't come back. That still is just. I'd like to ask these questions to the management because.
And of course, Minnesota has talented tight ends that we got to think of as receivers. Got Dalvin Cook out of the backfield, who had a nice year catching the ball out back there and running with it. And we had some nice plays from C.J. Ham out of the backfield, too.
I was going to say, sneaky C.J. Ham is part of the passing game. He can get it done. Yeah.
So it's not like there are a lack of options. It's just that receivers room it leaves something to be desired. And of course, you can't have stars at every spot, but when you're less than when you only got 2 deep in there, and the rest you're kind of like, well, they're there because they're cheap enough and they have some potential. It's a little bit of a head scratcher.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be without a starting tight end next year, so that's fine. We'll have to replace him with somebody else.
Kyle Rudolph.
I'm going ahead and calling it now, especially after you come out and say that. Like, good for you, man. I'm sure you can end your career like somewhere else and be good for 3-4 more years. But if he's openly saying, "Hey, I'm not going to do that," I don't know how the Vikings are already negative in the cap, so I'm not sure how that's going to work. I know they could restructure and move stuff around and keep pushing it forward, but
Just cut Riley Reef. It's all good.
Yeah,
Keep
that's definitely what we need.
What was the stat that I shared? He only allowed 1 sack or something.
Yeah.
Was that Riley Reef or was it Brian O'Neill?
That was Riley Reef.
That was Riley Reef.
Let's go ahead and
Brian O'Neill was, what was it, second in run block efficiency?
Yeah, that was it. The tackles are good. Everything in the middle is terrifying. That's what we got to remember.
The middle is like those revolving gates that you see at the airport.
They're decent run blockers in the middle.
Yeah.
Well, but they got to pick up the pace when it comes to pass protection.
Mike was talking about that earlier up here, saying Cousins needs a few more moments of pass. O-lines to step it up. Hey, the run blocking, we're not worried about that. They do a good job in that zone scheme, but that pass blocking is – yeah, and it's a little different too. We talked about it before on the show. If somebody's coming around the edge, you can step up in the pocket and move out of the way, shift. Even guys like Kirk Cousins who aren't very mobile can do that. But when it's coming straight at you, that's a different story. That's all kinds of trouble, and that's where the Vikings have the most holes to fill. Well, let's talk about the special teams coordinator. After a terribly awful year in special teams, Marwan Malouf's contract was not renewed after 1 season with the Vikings. Wasn't it 1?
Yes.
I believe it was 1 season.
Ryan Ficken has been named the special teams coordinator.
Ficken Awesome.
He has been with the organization for 14 seasons, so he's had a Stefanski type of run building his way up through the Vikings organization. This is really cool. Really excited for this guy. If he's been around this long, and God, 14 years, that goes back to like 2007. So he's seen all the changes.
Is that back to Brad Childress?
That's the Chili days. It sure is.
That's someone who survives right there.
Yeah. Because
if he's been around that long, and if he had guys, I can't remember our old special team, Prefer. If he's been around as long as the Prefer days date back, I expected the special teams to go up to conservative and please don't F anything up. And I'm okay with that. Team touchback all the way.
I was just going to say, you know what we need on special teams? You throw the hand up and you catch the ball like this, and then that's it.
I love fair catches. I love touchbacks.
Yep.
I love those things. But speaking of that, there does need to be some adjustments there. I know, again, a lot of injuries really changed things up, and the special teams unit was bringing in some people off the street to play special teams and trying to pick things up real quick, and that does not work very well usually, especially when that player is also trying to learn an offense or defense at the same time. So, yeah, it's a heck of a struggle, but there were several disappointments because whoever they were putting back there to return punts was not getting the job done. And I really thought KJ Osborne was going to be the man to do that, and he has not proven to be that individual at all.
I'm half joking, but Cordero Patterson, anyone?
I mean, I would love to have him back. He's a great gunner. Nobody's going to get by him, and he's guaranteed at least once a year to bring one to the house. So
basically,
that doesn't save punt returns though.
Abdulah's
been fine on kickoffs.
Yeah,
that's true. Well, as much as the NFL wants to gear towards safety, I mean, if you can get a kick return from him, that's going to sway the momentum of the game real quick.
I legitimately don't know why the NFL still does kickoffs.
Yeah, no idea.
Would anyone really care if we just started at the 20-yard line?
I miss the old days, but seeing as how they're never going to go back to that, no, I'd be fine with them starting at the 20. Do it.
You still got your punt returns where you got the big opportunity for the big splash play like that. Cat butt.
Cat booty.
Cat booty.
Here you guys go. I'll let you tackle that because we don't know up to this point. I definitely don't, but
we talked about it last week a little bit. I don't think either me or Mr. West are really expecting Mike Hughes to come back.
I don't think so. And I'm not basing this on anything.
No, we have no basis for this, aside from knowing that necks are kind of fragile.
Yeah. Hey, your neck is important. in case you don't know. And going through a couple surgeries on it is enough to just call it a career. Don't risk it, dude. Just
It's a shame because he seems so talented.
Yeah.
And he's got so much fight, but he just can't stay on the field.
You know who I was thinking about the other day? Just for injuries for the Vikings that was just like, God, that's a shame. Sharif Floyd. Again? No, well, yeah, that's one, but no, Sharif Floyd.
Yeah.
He had so much potential for this team. And then the whole botched knee surgery?
Yep.
Knee operation?
Yeah.
That's just a bummer, man.
I totally forgot that in 2018 he tore his ACL as well.
Yeah.
Mike Hughes has been through the ringer since becoming a pro, and coming from a smaller school, like you can't not root for the guy because he's very likable. That really sucks.
I'm still sad about Big Phil and his Achilles.
Ooh,
I miss Big Phil.
Phil Lodeholt.
Yeah.
That's a large human. Large human. That's a fun fact, guys. NFL coaches and players are large human beings. I work at the Nashville airport, and Mike Vrabel came through the other day. That's a large person. They are much bigger than you would think when you see them on TV. Spoiler.
I wish they could have either two things here. A, got Percy Harvin to calm down, and B, found ways to keep him like healthy. You know what I mean? Because that was another stud player for this team that you
There's
go back.
There's a part of me that doesn't blame him for throwing weights around. There's a part of me that doesn't blame him one bit.
You know what, man? It was Brad Childress. I'd have fucking thrown a weight at his head too. So I don't blame him.
Leslie Frazier of all.
I thought it was Childress.
I thought it was Leslie Frazier because Chili was done like 2 years later.
Yeah. But Harvin is one of those guys that you go back and you watch his highlights in Minnesota. Oh, yeah. They're as good as anyone. He was a supremely talented player when he was healthy and on the field for this team.
Well, Minnesota's only had 3 of their wide receivers be named Offensive Rookie of the Year, and of course Percy Harvin was one of them. So
yeah,
could be a 4th this year. Who knows?
I'm with Adam. I don't agree with it, but I understand. That's one of my new favorite sayings. I'm not agreeing with what you did, but I completely understand why you did it.
We need that shit on a t-shirt.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we were talking about the special teams coordinator getting it. We'll give you more updates as we go along, but I like that the guy has a history with the Vikings. They also announced that John Hinkst has been brought on as a head strength and conditioning coach. He came from Philadelphia, I believe.
Awesome. Sure.
These are smaller, positions within the team, but I'm happy. Ficken coached under Mike Prefer from 2013 to 2018, and under Marlon Malou from 2019 to 20. So, hey, you know what? That's fine. They have
now there have been reports that Minnesota is seeking an older, more experienced offensive coordinator. So maybe it might not be the young guy that takes over for his pops.
Yeah. There was one that was rumored. I think I posted it on our Facebook page.
You did?
Yeah. Who the hell was that? I don't remember.
I had to Google him, and I don't remember who it was.
Hey, you know what? I'm glad it's not whoever the Texans hired as their head coach, who was the wide receiver coach that year for the Chiefs before they got Patrick Mahomes.
You mean the guy who was the quarterbacks coach in Buffalo for Nathan Peterman?
Everywhere he goes, bad things happen, and it's so sad. That was the year the wide receiver
coaches the Chiefs team where they don't have a receiver score a touchdown
the whole season. And then who was he with? The Ravens or somewhere recently? And
yeah, the Ravens pass game coordinator last year.
What?
Terrible.
Just awful.
Who looks at this guy and is like, yeah, I want that leading my team?
I have no idea. I actually had to go on Twitter. I didn't get a response to my question, but I was like, what is the appeal in this guy? What did they see? Because I don't see it, and I know that I'm a nobody according to NFL standards, and there might be a lot of stuff I'm missing, but I want to know. I'm curious. What is it about this guy that made the Texans go, we need him on our team?
He's a white
You know
guy.
what it is? It's somebody they can tell him what to do because Bill O'Brien was just like shooting at the hip, playing GM and coach. I think that's what it is. And meanwhile, Eric Bieniemy still doesn't have a job. It's fine.
I mean,
What? He's working.
That's fine.
He's got a job. He's doing fine. He's doing a great job where he's working.
He should have been one this year, is my point. He should have gotten it from last year. And it's still nothing, but you're going to hire that guy.
Maybe he just loves winning Super Bowls.
I mean, that could be it.
I was just going to say, I kind of like the fact that he's like, you know what? I'm going to stick this out a little bit with Andy Reid and Mahomes. Maybe we'll start our own dynasty. Maybe we'll fucking win.
If he said that, I would be super happy that he said that. It just seems like the status quo of the NFL is everybody's got to get a shot to get a head coaching job. I just figured, hey, you know what? He's kind of good. If you didn't watch football this year, you watched it last year only. He's a pretty good coordinator. But they're still bouncing around. And you know what I've learned too, and this is not any shocking news, but just paying attention to smaller stuff in the NFL, like guys that fail as head coaches do great as coordinators. So maybe there's a failed head coach out there that'll do all right as an offensive coordinator. Like look at Tampa Bay. That guy, this is their defensive coordinator. I can't think of his name right now, but he was Todd Bowles, maybe? He was terrible as Jets head coach, but he's having a year right now. I don't know. Maybe find somebody like that, but I didn't hear this. Maybe you guys can help me out with that. They're looking for an older, more seasoned guy to come in to be the OC.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and we ran down a couple of players that we thought were good fits, and it was a nice conversation, but it's a little strange that the guy that everyone thought would be the favorite, if that's true, would likely not be the guy to get it.
Hugh Jackson. No, that was the Browns coach. Where's the Bengals old coach? Marvin Lewis?
Yeah. But I'll admit, I like the idea of Hugh Jackson in Minnesota. Bad head coach. Terrible. A coordinator? A run game specialist? Yeah, that's him.
Look at Pat Shermer.
Are you happy or sad with Adam Gase?
Yeah.
Look at Pat Shermer. He's an excellent coordinator, not a good head coach.
True.
It happens.
And we even see Mike Zimmer struggle at times, especially with clock management. That's one spot where, as a head coach, he just doesn't seem to get it all the time.
Here is what Vikings fans would absolutely hate. We've talked about this on the show. If they were to ever move on from Mike Zimmer before he's ready to retire, he is immediately signed as a defensive coordinator by another team, and that team is going to have a top 10 defense just immediately because he's that damn good of a defensive coordinator.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah.
But Mike Zimmer's also getting up in age. I don't know if he would call it quits or not, too. I have a feeling after he's done with the Vikings, he's done coaching because I'm just saying personal stuff on here. I follow his daughter on Instagram that she's going to have twins soon, and I could see him sliding right into that granddad role here in the next 5 years.
Enjoying some time at that ranch.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I don't know if you've seen the Zimmer Ranch merchandise, but some of it's pretty cool.
Mike said, and one eye. Yeah, no, they're both still there, but he damn near lost an eye. That was crazy. That was absolutely
he's been through some shit.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's absolutely true.
Well, that's all the Viking news I can think of. If you guys have anything else, we could talk about the Super Bowl. It is Sunday. Maybe throw out a prediction and go into the saddest part of the year.
Well, last week we announced our Survival League winner. So this week I do want to just let them know that we have not forgotten. We are going to get something pretty cool out there to them. It may be a little while, but it's going to happen.
I get paid Friday. I'm going to hook you up with this. I'm sure if I put it up, it'll get blurry, but this is autographed by Bud Grant here, as you can see with the gold pen.
Ooh.
Thanks to Adam Carlson. I'm not going to give out the information of that, but I found a way to get stuff from Bud Grant via the internet. So this came with the package, which is really sweet. So I have a couple of these. I'm going to send this out, and a hoodie or a shirt, size and color of your choice. So
it is kind of weird we made it through this entire episode without mentioning Evan Massey.
Evan Massey.
A little weird.
I don't know.
Oh, I was like, who is that? It's the guy, the Twitter guy.
Yeah, he's the guy who has all the rumors of the trade going right now. He got everything rolling.
2 days ago, Evan Massey on Twitter has a blue check mark, by the way.
He is verified.
Still looking to make a move at quarterback. Kirk Cousins, I'm told, is a name to keep an eye on. If the Vikings are open to dealing, San Francisco will push hard to acquire him. Ties with Shanahan make this an intriguing potential fit.
And if you look at that tweet, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. A lot of ifs and potentials, and a lot of qualifiers are in there to avoid making definite statements.
I like the way that tweet, blue check mark or not, comes from a guy that none of us have heard of.
I've heard of him.
And that, well, congratulations. I'll buy you a Lunchable. No one really.
Because after he left Yahoo Sports, he has started up his own sports website, and he recruited tried to recruit a lot of writers to come to his site. And I was one of them. I didn't make the jump because I was happy at the Viking age. But all in all, it's interesting that he's become a bit of an insider, or may have had some information that came to him. And if you check out his Twitter, he's launching a few more exclusive things that he is apparently hearing through the grapevine. So maybe he is becoming a bit of an insider. Who knows?
Well, maybe. It's just interesting to me how that one tweet
blew up. And it's only because it's about Cousins getting shipped out.
Right.
He's got some news from today about the Packers looking at Curtis Samuel or Corey Davis, and then earlier talking about the Colts to go after a guy like Chris Godwin. But that thing that you're talking about there from Kirk Cousins, I mean, in Viking fan terms,
oh God,
there have been people for the last 3 years calling for that dude's head after like 3 weeks of him being here. So
yeah,
I got 2 cats. This is going to end poorly.
That's hilarious.
They're already biting at each other.
I'm glad you brought that up, man. I forgot to bring it. We talked a little bit about the rumors, but it was more based on Deshaun Watson. I don't see why the Vikings would downgrade at quarterback, and I'm not shitting on Jimmy G. He's okay, but I think Kirk Cousins is better. I think he would help them get over the hump. I think he would have made that wide open throw in the Super Bowl if he was there. But is he going to blow you out of the water? No, I don't think that. I don't think John Lynch is going to make a bad deal either. He's not. He's a very good GM. They've built that roster very well. But I've always heard that, though, that Kyle Shanahan has had a thing for Kirk Cousins because he saw the fit in Washington. But I don't know. That's not happening. Let's just put that to bed right now. Kirk Cousins isn't getting traded, and the Vikings aren't getting Jimmy Garoppolo or Deshaun Watson. We can stop that.
I'm not going to say that won't happen, but it's highly, highly, highly unlikely.
I'll say it won't, so tomorrow it'll happen and we'll have something to talk about.
Because that right deal falls in his lap, and it would have to be one heck of a deal.
What would it take realistically? Because we're talking about the Vikings saying they'll have to get a deal they can't pass. What do you think a realistic deal? They get a phone call tonight and they say, "Hey, look, we want Kirk. We'll give you Jimmy. What's the draft capital we got to give up?"
You got to give me 2 first rounds and a mid round and a fucking 7th round pick at some point because it's Rick Spielman. But you have to get some players in return for this team. I think if you say, okay, we're not willing to give you as much draft capital, you're looking at, okay, we got to do quarterback for quarterback, and then you have to help us out with secondary. So you've got to throw in some kind of corner, some kind of linebacker. You've got to throw in some depth there, I think, for the Vikings to really get into it. But it's going to take a high draft pick as well.
The 49ers do have some pretty good pass rushers.
How about this? Would you guys take this from the offer if you're the acting GM? Guys in the comments too, let us know. Vikings don't have a second this year, right? How about a second this year, a first next? What you're going to look at, it's probably going to be towards the end of the draft because the 49ers are going to be good. But a second this year, a first next year, and, their third-string corner or something. Would you take that deal? And obviously quarterback for quarterback. I would take that
probably
deal.
Not.
I would take that deal. Not that I hate Kirk Cousins, but I don't think it's too fair. I think that's realistically something like that would probably be the offer made, but I don't know if the Vikings would take that. They're not going to offer up 2 first rounds for Kirk Cousins. It's not going to happen.
I think there's
No,
really only
Another thing people are forgetting is that the 2 first rounders the Rams are giving up, neither is from this year because they don't own this year's pick.
That's from the Jalen Ramsey trade. You're right.
So if we're dumping Kirk Cousins, we're essentially saying we need a quarterback that's going to take us to that next level, the reason why we brought Kirk in to begin with. And I don't believe that any team that's trading with Minnesota for Kirk Cousins, you're not getting a quarterback that's going to push us over the next level. You're just substituting. You're substituting Kirk Cousins for Jimmy G, and you might not even be upgrading. You might be taking a bit of a downgrade. I don't know why we're doing that.
That's true.
I wouldn't get it either. Unless their main thing is if they're getting Jimmy G to eat what's left on his contract and cut him and then just use draft picks to move up. That's the only thing that can make sense to me.
Yeah.
And you called it at the beginning of the show, Adam. I don't trust Rick Spielman to draft.
And Minnesota's not going to be able to trade to 1.
Yeah.
No, not at all.
They can throw 4 first-round picks at Jacksonville. It's not happening.
Yeah,
Urban
Meyer's going to get his boy wonder quarterback of the millennium there, so that's not going to happen. So you're going to say you're going to give up 3 first rounds and a player for Justin Fields?
The only quarterback
I wouldn't make that deal.
The only quarterback that might potentially be available that's an upgrade over Kirk Cousins is Aaron Rodgers, and there's no scenario in which Aaron Rodgers goes from Green Bay to Minnesota.
And Deshaun Watson might be younger, but he's also not really proven anything either. And his contract's bigger than Kirk's down the road.
That's the other thing we didn't talk about either. Everybody lost their fucking mind about that when he came to the team when it started, and we said, hey, look, chill out. Over time, this is going to make sense because the numbers keep going up. Now you look at his contract, and it makes perfect sense. You just don't like it because it says fully guaranteed. I think it's a genius move by him, and I think the Vikings projected that very well based on
look at the Eagles and Carson Wentz.
Oh, it's such a shit show.
Look at the Rams and Jared Goff. There have been some bad deals made in the quarterback market. Kirk Cousins isn't really one of them.
No,
I don't
Kirk
think
makes a lot of money. But when the quarterback market was resetting, Minnesota got in on that at a time when they were able to get Kirk for his first few years very cheap at quarterback standards. But they knew they'd be paying him at the back end. Now that the back end's here, fans are furious, but they're forgetting that Kirk wasn't making nearly what he was making in the future, what he was making then. So, yeah, Minnesota's playing a lot for him now, but the budget days of Kirk are over. Now you're getting pricey Kirk.
But
the other part of that too,
big lots, Kirk.
to piggyback on what Adam was saying, look at you're talking about Deshaun Watson and how much he costs. Look at Russell Wilson. I'd love to have that dude on this team. I think he's a phenomenal quarterback. But look at what they're strapped to now. They have no money to do anything, and that team fell apart because it.
At least they have Russell Wilson. I mean, when you lay down a big contract and you've got Goff or Wentz sitting in front of you for many years, oh my goodness, what are you left with on the table?
That Wentz contract absolutely destroyed the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you know what the best part about that was? You know who the winner from that was? Besides Doug
Wentz, Peterson? He got the fuck
Peterson.
out. Yeah.
He's gone. He's like, hey, tough shit for you. I won you a Super Bowl, and I don't have to deal with that. Have fun with that, man.
I'm surprised.
Hey, bring him in for the OC position. Why not?
I'm surprised he hasn't signed anywhere. Is he just taking a year off and he'll come back?
I mean,
next
after that
year,
probably. That fan base is brutal, man.
Yeah. Why wouldn't Houston go after him?
That's true.
Pay Rudy.
Rudy. With monopoly money, yes. For his contract this year, no.
I love Kyle Rudolph, and
Rudolph will get approached for, if not a restructure, then a pay cut. And he will decline it. And he will either be traded or cut.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
He's going to end up with the Rams. That's what I think. Matthew Stafford.
The Rams got enough good tight ends.
Do they?
Who's the tight end right now? New England? Who just retired? Fucking Seattle? That'd be the most Minnesota's thing ever. Greg Olsen retired. He'll go to Seattle and catch a bunch of touchdowns from Russell Wilson now.
Do they still have Luke Wilson there? Because I like that Wilson to Wilson connection for a little while there.
What about Owen
Seattle.
Wilson? Is he still?
Nope, I don't think that they had that Wilson or Rita Wilson.
Owen Wilson? Wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are teams that could really use a tight end. As a matter of fact, I'm going to lay something out here that I did mention in my article that I wrote on the Detroit trade from when Matt Stafford got shipped out. Keep an eye on Kyle Pitts going to the Detroit Lions in the NFL draft. Keep an eye on it. Tight end number 7 overall. It could happen.
Ugh. That didn't work out so well with, well, I don't say Hawkinson's a bust. Who was it? Ebron. Yeah, he's already out of town. That wasn't that long ago.
Because if they get that double tight end offense going there, that could help out the short game of Goff so much.
I can't believe he's a Detroit Lion. Oh, that poor guy. Oh, good luck, man. I'm glad you got a lot of money to compensate for your sorrows. All right, let's wrap this show up. Let's do a Super Bowl prediction, and then we'll do some promoting and get the hell out of here. The Kansas City Chiefs are back in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is still really, really good. I cannot believe that Tom Brady is going to play in his 10th Super Bowl this Sunday.
I can, because fuck him.
Oh, God. It's just
I think I gave my Super Bowl prediction last week.
Did you? I'm sorry. I didn't watch the show.
And I believe I said Chiefs by 4.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know how you can bet against Kansas City, even though it's against Tom Brady.
I think against Tom Brady's so hard to do, though.
Yeah,
I want to say Chiefs by 10, but it's just, and then you got, of course, the 2 players that are missing for Kansas City for the COVID right now, and you've got returning players in the defense for Kansas City. It's going to be a little bit weird, but there's a lot to keep an eye on. And of course, I don't really want to advertise for them, but if you're in a state where legalized betting's going on, some of those promotions out there for signing on, you can make some easy cash and delete the app. That's all I'm saying.
That's good.
Because over the last couple weeks, I've been cashing in.
I'm going to go with my dad again this year since the Vikings are not in it. Respect to Tom Brady, man. I mean, they heated up at the right time. They didn't even win that division. They're in the Super Bowl.
If you were writing this story as a book, you would write it with Tom Brady passing the torch to Mahomes.
Yep.
That's the way this story would go.
I think
that's the way it should go.
Is there anyone in the chat that's picking Tampa? Are we all on Kansas City?
I'm picking the Chiefs, and I'm going to say 34-31. I think it's going to be close. I really do, but
you got KC by 3. All right.
I don't know how you beat that team because look at them last year. I know it's a year ago, and I know they've kind of slowed down a little bit this year, but look at that game against the Texans. They scored, 24 points in one quarter?
Oh.
That wasn't that long ago. They're really good, and that quarterback is really good, and those receivers, man. And Kelsey's incredible. Hasn't been talked about enough this year.
Andy Reid is like that. Andy Reid is like that South Park meme with Randy Marsh with his balls and the wheelbarrow in front of him. And Andy Reid is just that. He's that kind of a coach, man.
Going for it on 4th and 1 with Chad Henne and throwing the ball. I mean,
I just had to look this up, and I think it's kind of interesting. Smith, do you know what the actual spread is for the Super Bowl right now?
3.5 to Kansas City.
3.5 to Kansas City. You took 3, and I took 4.
Ooh, all right.
I don't understand betting. So after the show,
I don't either. I'll just say this: whoever has a negative by their name, that's the favorite.
Yep. If you subtract that from their score, and then let's say the spread's 3.5, and the Chiefs win by 3, the Chiefs actually lost.
You lose the bet. Yeah, if you bet on the Chiefs, it's negative. It's 3.5 minus 3.5 on the Chiefs, and they only win by a field goal. You lose your bet. But if they win by more than 4 points, 4 or more, hey, you win a lot of money. But I'm going to root for my dad's team. He's a diehard, like we are with the Vikings, Chiefs fan, and I want to see the Chiefs start a new dynasty. I love watching Brady. It's one of the craziest things you'll ever see in sports, but I don't want that. That would be too cliche for him to go to a team and win the Super Bowl immediately. That's a little much.
Good point by Mike. It's in Tampa Bay.
That's true. What the Vikings could have done a couple of years ago, he will be doing in Tampa. So
don't make me cry. Don't bring that up.
Super Bowl in Tampa, WrestleMania in Tampa.
Oh, that's awesome.
And of course, Super Bowl halftime last year, we got Bad Bunny. The Royal Rumble this year, we got Bad Bunny. We need more Bad Bunny.
We need less Bad Bunny.
I had my family over. We were watching the Rumble on Sunday, and they were not impressed with Bad Bunny.
I don't know what that is.
Bad Bunny is the number one recording artist in the U.S., number one on Spotify, number one worldwide on Spotify last year. So
yeah, and you know what that means to me? Zero.
It means he's popular.
Yeah, I don't care.
But popular doesn't always mean good. That's something that you got to kind of understand.
It just means it's not in my personal wheelhouse. If other people want to like it, go for it. Doesn't mean I have to.
Meanwhile, I'm over here listening to the new Killers album, and everybody else is all up on Bad Bunny.
I'll be looking up this Bad Bunny fellow.
Listen to the Booker T song, apparently.
Oh, God.
Hey, Bad Bunny appeared on Monday Night Raw as well, so if you're a fan of Big Bunny, you might want to consider checking out some wrestling, because it looks like they're working him into a storyline.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame, because that's how WWE works. I tweeted that out.
But the last musician that I really remember making a big appearance kind of thing was when Kevin Owens powerbombed Machine Gun Kelly off the stage, and that was amazing.
That's awesome. I do like Machine Gun Kelly.
That's just fun.
All right, let's promote some stuff, and we'll come back after the Super Bowl. I'm glad that we had a bunch of participation in the chat.
Yeah. Participation trophies.
Hey, look, I'm up. So I write stuff over on the Viking Age, and I do want to thank you guys for checking out my work over the last month. Last month, I had my personal best month on the Viking Age, and I really do appreciate all you guys that checked out my mock draft, my coaching articles, my free agent pieces, because those are the pieces that really help to establish my pay for the month and have helped to cover the bills and stuff. Well, I've been having a bit of a rough time here, so thank you very much on all that. Also, thanks to those that click on my articles over on Undead Walking. I know a lot of people are kind of checked out of the zombie genre for now, but there's still a lot going on in the world of The Walking Dead. So if you're a fan, check it out, click through some articles, and I would greatly appreciate that. Both are available on their respective websites, or there are apps available on Android and Apple. Also, I haven't streamed very much, but I do want to say that I do have a Twitch channel, much like the Purple People podcast here does. So if you got a moment, go on Twitch, check out Purple People podcast, give us a follow, go over to MN Viking Zombie, give me a follow, and check us out every once in a while if we come online. That'd be pretty cool. I'd appreciate that.
I will stand by the first season of The Walking Dead being among the best television ever produced. The first season of Walking Dead is phenomenal. If you've never watched it, I suggest it to anybody.
It's good, but once you watch it a couple times, you see so many continuity errors in that first episode that you just kind of, it gets cringy at times. I think that's because I've picked it apart so many times. Right. As a casual watch, it's probably fine. But when you see walkers like jiggling doorknobs and stuff like that and picking up stuff off the ground, that's not what they do later in the show. So either the walkers are regressing or they just decided to go a different direction with the walkers.
You know, there was the change in creative from season 1 to season 2 a little bit with Frank Darabont going out. So,
Oh, absolutely. And
So,
speaking of Frank Darabont, he does fantastic work. I've enjoyed a lot of what he's done, and the fact that he was able to be a part of The Walking Dead was a lot of fun.
yeah, kind of a dick in real life, I've heard, but
Yeah, they're still fighting legal battles over those residuals, but
yeah.
at least the show still has 6 episodes coming up later this month, and then one more season before The Walking Dead hangs up their hat. There's also one more season left of the Walking Dead spinoff, World Beyond. And Fear the Walking Dead has been hitting its stride. They just had a really good season. So hopefully they can keep that rolling when the new season comes.
Hey, I have a link on the screen. You should check my stuff out. Because there's photography there. There's also Purple People podcast merchandise. I haven't uploaded for a while, and I should definitely do that. I think we're supposed to be getting more snow and just crappy weather this weekend, so I'll be held up inside, so I will get some new photography work up. But check it out, and maybe give it a share on the social media as well, too. That always helps me out. If you guys can help spread the word, I would appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you can't buy something, a share is great. It's just like the podcast, just like my work on the Viking Age. If you really want to support us, there's great ways to do it, whether it's commenting about it, sharing it, liking it, following it. It's not asking a lot. And plus, we don't bombard you with ads. We don't ask you for anything from our Patreons. We do our show for fun. And we are so happy that you guys can come here and join us. I know that in the past, we've had some contributions that have helped us move forward and helped make us who we are now. And we really appreciate that. But I think moving forward, we are that group that just does this for fun.
I stand behind these guys, man. I don't have anything to promote. I love being a part of this. And it felt weird taking a week off. Sometimes you need it, but I love the show, man, and I love the interaction. And shout out to Jerome. I tried to get you up there, man. I wanted to shout you out, but I didn't want to interrupt these guys promoting stuff. Thank you to everybody who joined in the chat.
Mike joined in last week and was here almost the whole show, and we had great talk about Kyle Rudolph. So it was nice having Mike here back as well. And Kathy is amazing.
Yeah,
long-time listener. Yeah.
Good to see you there. I like this, man. I'd like it if you guys could support these guys over. I'm trying to do this backwards over here.
Oh, I was also on the Viking Age podcast this week where I talked to Adam Patrick and we debated a few things, and I thought it was a really fun show. So if you get a chance, check that out because it's my first appearance on the Viking Age podcast, and I thought it went really well.
I'll check that out in the morning on the way to work, man. I saw you. I think Kyle updated it up on the page. On these pages, if you guys want to share our social media, definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can get it iTunes whenever I decide to finally upload them. Sorry, I was behind a couple of weeks there. Facebook page. Obviously, we had people tuning in. Now we'll go live and I'll let you know because I'll schedule it ahead of time. But
YouTube is definitely the best place to check us out because you got the full catalog of shows. You've got instant availability as soon as it's done uploading to YouTube. You can rewatch the broadcast, or you can join live, which is a lot of fun. I think Facebook video takes a little while to catalog as well before it's available for a replay, right?
I'd have to look at that. I know Twitch takes a minute at least to get started, but I don't have it on my phone anymore. But yes, Facebook takes a minute.
So yeah, I think you can watch replays on both as well. So yeah, there's a lot of places you can catch us, a lot of places you can have some fun with Vikings content, so hopefully you can do that.
I'll let you end it, man. That's your catch line, not mine.
All right. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, everything you can. Enjoy the Super Bowl and Skol. Stay classy, Minnesota.